Welcome to Worthy of Note, the podcast where one overthinking girlie shares her various musings about the world with the world. I'm your host, Lauren Carlton. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Worthy of Notes. Happy Pride. Of course, we're going to start off with that. Be who you are for your pride. I don't know if any of you have seen that meme or that video, but if you know, you know. It's go find you on the internet. You gotta know that video. But anyway, yes, I'm very excited for Pride Month, and it honestly has had me thinking about a lot of like my own relationship to Pride and to the LGBTQ plus community, and just what I've learned and how much I've changed, over the past few years in terms of how I used to think about those in the LGBTQ community, and how a lot of that has gone hand in hand with my deconstruction, which we will get into a little bit later today. All right, so there's that's what's on the docket. Real light, real funky fresh. Okay, before we get into that, girl, dearest gentle reader. Oh! Okay, so if you're not a Bridgerton stan, I don't know what you're doing. I'm sorry. I don't know if we could be I don't know if we could be friends. But like, what are we gonna talk about? Because here's the thing. I am a sucker for the most sappy, like romantic, poetic, like I burn for you. You are the bane of my existence and the object of my desires. That was the best line. I think the best I bird for you line was probably Antony's, quickly followed up by I don't know, I guess I would say Colin's, he did pretty well, although I have not been able to sleep, I've not been able to eat. Anyway, this man said he was he was fasting for this woman. Anyway, but Bridgerton I am obsessed with. It is probably like the only form of media that I've been consuming over the past couple of weeks, in all ways, not only just the show itself, but also reaction videos, commentary videos, speculation videos before part 2 came out. If you don't know what Bridgerton is, because I do believe, you know what, you could join the party. I'll inform you a little bit if you don't know. Okay, come to the party. Bridgerton is essentially a period piece romantic drama, and it is set in the Regency era, which I believe is the late 1700s to early 1800s. I think 1813 is when the first season is set. So yeah, that era, and it is, oh my god, it's so hot. It follows a family, like a very rich, bougie ass family called the Bridgertons. They're a family of 10, well, was 10, it's now 9. The father passed away, Lord Bridgerton, Viscount Bridgerton passed away, and but before he did, he and his wife got busy and gave birth to 8 amazing children. And all of them, one thing that I didn't even realize until the second season was that their names are alphabetical but also chronological. So by order of birth is also by alphabetical order. So it's Antony is the firstborn, then Benedict. I love that. His season better be next. I'm actually gonna riot if it's not next. I need to see my man Bridgerton get some love, some true love. So it's Antony Bridgerton. Oh, yeah, Antony Bridgerton, Benedict Bridgerton, Colin, Daphne, Eloise, which we'll talk about her. She's my girl, but I liked her more this season, I think, than the previous season, personally. Francesca. Ooh! Francesca's my girl. Like, she's a budding like favorite for me. Like, I didn't see her at all. Like, she wasn't even mentioned except for maybe once, I think, in season 2. When Eloise is like, I'm writing to Francesca to tell her how much of a busybody you are. I think that's like the only time I remember that so specifically because that's literally the only time I mentioned that I remember. But anyway, she was recast as well. But I don't know what the other one looked like at all. But in my mind, this doesn't really matter because this one's perfect. I think she's so good for this role, and I love her like story arc so far with Lord Kilmartin. But I know he's gonna die, which is really sad. I'm sorry, I told you there were spoilers. That one's particularly dark, but even though he's gonna die, I think they're very cute together as of right now, and I'm excited for her story arc. So Francesca, then Gregory, and then Hyacinth. So, which I don't know, I'm kind of curious to see how they are going to age up Hyacinth and Gregory, because they still look like they're like 13 to me. And if they're gonna be in, having their own seasons, I'm sure their own seasons are probably going to be the last ones, because I mean, for the most part, they've gone chronologically. Well, actually, no, they haven't. The first season was Daphne, the next was Antony, then it was Colin. So I'm assuming they're going by like the oldest chunk from the beginning. If they do Eloise's season next, I don't really know how I'm going to feel about that personally, just because like we've already had so much of her in this current season. And I do think that they're doing a really good job of like building up like her desires and like her wants in terms of like marriage. Like, she doesn't want it at all. And so I think it'd be really odd to have her season be next and then she all of a sudden fall in love with Sir Philip. It doesn't make sense to me. And also, it's probably not going to happen anyway, since she's going off to Scotland with Francesca and Lord Kilmartin. So super excited for next season. Next season is Benedict. I'm calling it right now. We've already had so much like development with him. Like, he's very much the happy-go-lucky, carefree, like second brother. Like, I love him. This season was amazing. Let's talk about this season. I loved Paulin. I think their love story was a lot stronger the second half than the first half, if I'm going to be completely honest. I do feel like it was a little rushed. I wish that there was more of a longing, more of a burn with the first couple of episodes, but I get why they split it up the way that they did, because it was very much like a natural ending, I guess, or a natural stop point with the whole proposal in the carriage scene. Oh! Tonight, give me everything tonight. Oh, girl, that is going to be that's going to be in my Spotify Wrapped for sure. You best to believe it, because listen, it's kind of unserious that they would play a pitbull Miss Wow. The fact that they would play a Pitbull song, like a very well-known one too, so it's not like it's like, a tune that's like really cool from a song that like is kind of obscure, like one of the obscure songs from a really popular artist's album or something. It's legitimately like one of his top hits. And they put it in a scene that's supposed to be so like steamy and romantic, but like in a very classy way. Not to say that Pitbull is not classy, but like it kind of like Give Me Everything particularly is like, I put it all night, baby. It's not right, baby. Ain't promised tomorrow, but I promise tonight, darling. Like, that's all I was literally fighting against singing along because I knew all the words. But I do love Give Me Everything. I do love it. I just think it was funny. It was like, what? It didn't take me out of the scene at all, though. That was a very, very, very hot scene. It was beautiful, honestly. The way that it was so, like, it was very consensual, which I appreciated, but, like, in a subtle way. Like, it was in a way that, like, which I even love more, because it was in a way that shows that they are so, like, intertwined emotionally. and they know each other so well that they can communicate in those looks, like the way that he looked at her and like basically asked for permission before, you know, using the digits, the digital activity. But this is the 1800s, so you know that I'm not talking about numbers and screens. Yeah. Anyway, the way that he like looked at her, I was like, yes. And she not her little nod. Also, her look was amazing this season. I think Nicola Coughlan is so gorgeous, and I think I was another thing that a big part of like the Bridgerton media that I've been consuming has been talking about her representation. Nicola Coughlan is a plus size woman, or she would be considered plus size in the industry. And I love that. I was really curious to see how they were going to like present her as a main love interest in a show that does have nudity and does not shy away from sex at all. Like, it's a big part of the show, I would say. I won't say it's like all of the show, but there are scenes in, I would say on average, like every episode, maybe every other episode at least. It's a Shonda Rhimes production, okay? You should know. I was like, I really hope that they don't like shy away from showing her in all of her beauty, because she is a beautiful woman. She has a beautiful body, in my opinion. And I think that that is what should be normalized and celebrated, and not even in a way of like, oh, you were super, like, her confidence is amazing. I fucking hate that shit. Cut it out. Kill it now. Miss me with that. Because here's the thing. If somebody were to comment, which I haven't had this particularly as someone who is plus size, but I know people and have seen people like on comments of people that I follow and like even my friends like say like, I love your confidence, like slay queen, like you're doing so amazing with this, like wow, I could never be this confident. It's like, do you hear what I know that our inner ears, like our voices are a little bit different to us than what other people hear, but the words are the same. Okay, the words are quite the same. So I don't understand when people say, like, it really is just, it's just like not saying the quiet part out loud, I guess, but also saying the quiet part out loud, when it's like, what do you mean by that? I wish I had your confidence. Saying that to a plus size woman, what do you mean by that? When none of their caption or anything in the picture says anything about them being confident. It's literally just them in a pretty dress or them in a bikini or whatever. And you are going to say that. I really can't stand that. And that is exactly actually what Nicola Coughlan has had to deal with this promotion of Bridgerton, and also just Bridgerton being out in the height of its popularity right now. So you have this interview with this woman who was like, you know, I think it's very brave of you to want to be present in this show that is very much a sexual show in terms of, you know, how it reveals its characters when they are having sex. Nicola, I loved her response. She was like, yeah, well, you know, I think it's really rare to see representation of people, of women like me, you know, women who have perfect breasts. Get a girl, get a Jade. Like, oh my God. I was like, yes. I watched the clip several times because I was like, that's how you read a bitch. I'm sorry, like that's how you do it, because it was like so uncalled for of that woman to ask her that question, because it's like, we already know what she's insinuating, but what are you insinuating? Like, what are you doing, man? But she was like, yeah, and she went on to continue, you know, yeah, like I'm very excited and very happy to be the representation for the perfect breast community, and I hope you enjoy seeing them. Girl, oh my God, it was so good. And I did listen, okay. Ooh, that was a good, like, those are her whole style was amazing. Shout out to the stylist. Shout out to the hair stylist. Like the set design also really complimented her as well. The settee that they had sex on for the first time. I need a boudoir shoot immediately with that. That's my prop. Like, I loved everything about the style of this. I love the colors that they chose to put her in, but alluding to the Bridgerton blue, putting her in a lot of pastel blues and greens. It was so amazing. And yeah, I don't think they really shied away from, I kind of wish there was more sex, but like we only really got the 10, if you count the carriage scene, I'll say in a half, because there was no like, they didn't like disrobe or anything in that. But I mean, we had the one basically in their new home before the wedding. I think they did a pretty good job of portraying her in a way that was, you know, not shameful of her body, or like not shying away and being like, oh, her body is bad because it is a bigger body. Like, I loved everything about it. It was great. Bridgerton actually represents one of the very few shows that I was able to be a part of as it was happening, if that makes any sense. Like, I think I was still, when the first season came out, I was like really, really like just starting to deconstruct and like just starting to kind of emerge from like a lot of the circles that I had been in that were super judgmental or were super very, very fundamentalist, honestly. And so I did postpone watching that a little bit, like as it was happening, but then eventually I did. Like one day I just binged it and I was like, oh my God. But even then I still felt like a little bit of guilt, because I was like, this is like pornography. Like, no, it's not. It's part of a TV show. The entire TV show isn't even about sex. Like, there's so many other great themes in it. And I don't think that it's, you know, as obviously now I laugh because I'm like, that's crazy that I thought that, but it is true. This is one of the first shows that I actually am able to watch and like enjoy with everybody else, if that makes any sense. And I've been like going on this like pilgrimage, I guess, back through all of the things that I was not allowed to watch or consume in my childhood. So anything like Harry Potter, Wizards of Waverly Place, like I don't know, like I've caught up on Harry Potter for sure. But like there's a lot of things that I just was not allowed to partake of really or participate in, and it's really been kind of heavy on me recently. Like I have been talking a lot in therapy about my parents and kind of working through a lot of the really messy feelings and hurt and things that I just really didn't even realize was affecting me until I've started actually talking through them with a professional. Also, especially like recently, like I said, Pride Month is this month, and I think it's brought up a lot of things for me, and I've been watching a lot of media and content to really kind of have like a cathartic process of my deconstruction, because I've done a lot of it. Like I don't believe probably 99% of what I grew up believing. I was talking with a group of friends, part of a like weekly group that I had been a part of, and we were talking, one of the like discussion questions that we had, because we had like discussions, was like about paradox and contradiction. And I thought about it, and this has been something that I've been thinking about for like the past month or so. There's such a interesting, fascinating thing about leaving a religion that teaches you that it is everything to you, that it is your support, it is your community, it is your rock, basically. And leaving it, and that should make you feel exposed, that should make you feel like you don't have anything, dropping all of that, right? Especially if you're in a religion like I was, that was like very, very tight knit and very, I would say, high control for sure. But I have never felt more free. I have never felt more safe, which is so sad to think about and to say. But like, I don't know, like it's very much a paradoxical situation of like leaving, and even if you expand that to like leaving my parents and not having a relationship with them, like it's sad, and I really wish that I did have a relationship with them and was able to foster good conversations with them to where it wouldn't be like explosive, or it wouldn't be like I would feel judged by them, or I would feel like, they would not accept me as a person because I don't believe the same things they do anymore. And also there's so many other things. There's so many other, it's not just religion why we're not talking and are not going to, but that is a big part of it for sure. And yeah, I don't know. I've been thinking a lot about it lately, and I guess just wanted to talk a little bit about it. I don't know how many of you all are deconstructing at all, or if you've never even been in, any sort of religion, or believe, I don't know what your beliefs are, but I do think it is a relatively common experience in terms of like leaving something that was once everything to you and was once such a strong, prominent part of your identity, and feeling the total opposite of what you would think would happen, leaving something like that. I would say right now, like, I still believe in God. I wouldn't call myself a Christian, just because the word Christian comes like it conjures up so many negative people and negative beliefs that I just cannot align myself with that, unless the image of Christian that comes up is something that's a lot more robust and a lot different than what normally people think of when they think of Christians. Like, I am very pro LGBTQ plus people. I am very, very pro social justice. And I don't really believe in the whole gender role thing. Like, I think people can explore those things in a way that feels comfortable for them. Those roles, whatever that looks like for them, that's okay. There doesn't have to be this like God-given role that you have to be in, or like, women don't have to be submissive, which was one thing that I also really hated. As someone who's like can be pretty outspoken, I couldn't imagine where I would be right now if I still was in that religion. Like, I probably would be, I don't know if I would be married necessarily. Like, if I was still, I don't know. It's something I think about a lot. If I was still like in contact with my parents, I very much would for sure still be attending a campus ministry and like heavily involved. I honestly think that my deconstruction journey started with the estrangement from my parents. But even a little bit before that, like, I remember I didn't really like going to church, like towards maybe like the last 2 years of high school. I just found it to be a chore. I didn't like going into a place where people kind of felt fake to me. I felt like they weren't very genuine. I don't feel like they really cared about me as a person beyond what I could do for them. I was the babysitter, because I was like in the church that we were in when I was in high school. Like, I was the only teenager at that church. I mean, there was one other teenager, but she graduated and went to college. So like, I was the only teenager at that church, and the next youngest person was 11 years old. So, and then the next oldest person was like 23. So of course, who better than to have babysit several children with no sort of no sort of qualifications, training, or anything. What better person to pick to watch these children for free? than me, 16-year-old who has undiagnosed anxiety and does not do well with children. Here's the thing. Kids are fine. They can be very cute. I have 2 nieces and a nephew, and I love them very much. They're the cutest things I've ever seen in my life. But when when it comes to watching them and having to do it in a way, like watching other people's children and watching them and being responsible for them is a whole other thing when you're literally like my brain technically hasn't developed yet now, but like it was way worse when I was 16. Like I didn't know no CPR. What if this baby choked? And then where would we be? And then I looked like the bad guy because I didn't know baby CPR. Well, you hired me knowing that I didn't know baby CPR. So whose fault is that? Anyway, that didn't actually happen, but I did have a couple of like very difficult kids, I would say, and I don't blame them. Kids are gonna be kids, whatever. But it was a lot for one 16-year-old to handle. And also I had like 12 kids for like the Bible studies and stuff. Excuse me, we would have like weekly Bible studies, and I would be the one person that would be watching 12 kids. Yeah, I started not really liking church very much before very much before the whole estrangement happened. And it just felt like, you know, I didn't really feel like I served a purpose. I was on the worship team, but I didn't like do it very often because I was so involved with school and other things like extracurriculars. And I just didn't feel like I belonged. I felt very out of place. And that is very ironic because that's like not what the church is supposed to do. Like it's supposed to be a place where everybody can be like belong and find a place. And I mean, to be fair, this church was pretty small, but still, like, I don't think that was like an excuse. Like, I don't really think that my parents really considered that. I think for sure I would have, out of obligation, if I was still talking and in communication with my parents, I definitely think that I would still be a part of a campus ministry in some regard. I probably wouldn't like it very much, if I'm going to be honest, because it might start feeling like a chore again, or I know deep down, like I probably would still feel like I didn't belong, because that's how I felt when I was still in a campus ministry for about 2 years before leaving. I just felt really out of place, you know, and a lot of that has to do with not only just the religion part of it and the doctrine, but also just the demographic. You know, living in the Midwest is its own thing, but particularly this place, like the denomination that I was going to was predominantly white. There were only 5 Black people, including myself, at the time that I was attending, out of several hundred. So if you can imagine how that would be a little bit, and it's so fucking funny. It's so funny because I was in this campus ministry and I was on the worship team. Like I was very involved. I was a consistent, frequent flyer of this campus ministry and of this church. I would go every Sunday. If not every Sunday, like I would miss the Sunday because I was sick or I didn't have a ride because I didn't have a car at the time. Those would be the only 2 reasons why I would miss. But other than that, like very, very consistent, was involved. And the pastor of that church, who since has been asked to step down, asked to step down because of some comments that he's made about the gay community. Surprise, surprise. And also other things, I'm sure. But their reasoning was he was putting numbers above people. And it's like, okay, that's not a great reason either as a cover-up reason, but we know he was homophobic as hell. Just say it. Say it with your chest. It's so funny because that guy, like the pastor, came up to me. I had been going to this place consistently, again, very involved consistently for 2 years straight almost, and had been on stage, part of the worship team. All right. And he came up to me and was like, hey, you remind me of your name again? And I was like, yeah, oh, I'm Lauren. And he was like, oh, okay, got it. Yeah, I know I've seen you around. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I've only been going here for 2 whole years. I was I was proud of myself for that, because this was towards the time when I was starting to like get fed up with a lot of the shit that I was seeing going on. And my snarky ass, sometimes snarky, usually I'm not with within those settings, but I was like, yeah, I've been here. Yeah, I'm Lauren. Thanks for asking. Now you know. Great. So I'll see you again in 2 years when you ask me that same question. Psych, though, because I left shortly after that. I kind of equate my parents with religion. Like, they're almost in the same boat. Like, they're two different entities, but my parents do kind of represent a lot of my old beliefs and my upbringing, and a lot of that includes religion. And it is very fascinating to feel and to look at how far I've come and how much I've learned about myself, about others, and about what I believe about the world, and how much more freeing that is than being in a place where, you know, you're told what to believe and you're supposed to be, you know, your parents and church and those communities represent that safe haven. They're supposed to represent, you know, a place where you're loved unconditionally, specifically, but also just in general. You're surrounded by love, you're surrounded by a sense of belonging, you're surrounded by community. And I never felt more trapped than when I was in those circles, honestly, especially towards the end. And so, yeah, I feel a lot freer and safer and more fulfilled. I'm surrounding myself with people who care about me beyond if, you know, they could make me into a part of their prayer journey or make me into a way that they can be a better Christian. I don't know how many times I can tell you that I've like been at church and they've been like, how can I pray for you this week? And like, on the surface, that sounds very sweet, but like, it very much is like part of the whole structure of how much can you be doing to dive deep into the word and to project like all of your things that you feel guilty about yourself and project those onto and into other activities as a way to make yourself feel like a better Christian. That is like a very core part of the type of Christianity that I was a part of. And like, I will also like to say, this is kind of late for a disclaimer, but if you're still listening as a disclaimer, like, I don't hate Christians. I don't wish any ill will towards them. I do think that they are doing a lot of harm in a lot of ways, specifically evangelical Christians, white evangelical Christians, if we were to really dig deep into it, but like, you know, it's fine. But I do also recognize that there are progressive Christians and, you know, people who don't espouse these really harmful and bigoted and negative beliefs onto other people, and they are just part of a religion, or the way that they practice their religion is as a means for their own fulfillment and for their own peace. And it's not like, oh, we need to go and convert these people over here, like tell them about Christ because we need to get the numbers up. We need to, like, they're going to hell otherwise, like out of fear at all. Like, no. I know there are people who exist like that, who are, you know, very kind, very good people, and practicing their religion for themselves. And I think that's a difference between the types of Christians that I grew up with versus those Christians and that I know exist, is that like it was constantly like a like race basically to like convert as many people as you can. Like, I don't believe that your religion should be like, yes, it can be communal. I think it's a great opportunity to find community because that is a common interest. But I do not think that one of the tenets of your religion is to convert other people. But it really is within evangelical Christianity. I mean, literally, it's in the title, evangelical. The goal is to evangelize to as many people as possible so that everyone can hear the word of God and so that Jesus can come back. Like, that's literally the whole point. When it goes from a you and God thing to a you and God and however many people that you convert thing, to please God or appease God in some way, like that's just when it's really not it. So yeah, I just had a lot of those thoughts recently, especially again with Pride Month coming up. Like and also like, you know, Father's Day was just literally yesterday, the time that I'm recording this. Mother's Day was last month. Both my parents' birthdays are also in like the same months. And so it's just like, God. Pew, boom, 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 like every angle. And it's really had me thinking about my situation and my family. I still have my sister. I love her so much. And she is like really the only family that I still have in terms of blood. I also now have my boyfriend, which is great. I also love him very much. And, you know, he also like is not a Christian. He's an atheist. So it's like been a really interesting dynamic to kind of like be telling him, yeah, this is what we believed, or this is like what I grew up with. Like I grew up going to youth group and having a chocolate bar be held in every person in the youth group's hand, and then the last person who held it was asked to eat it, and then they were like, fuck no, I'm not gonna eat this grimy ass Hershey bar. And then the youth pastor says, well, this is you if you've had sex. Yeah, I believed that when, you know, two pieces of different colored paper put together, glued together, and then you tried to rip them apart and separate them, you know, one of the papers ended up on the other paper. That is what happens when you have sex with more than one person. Yes, I believed all of that. I believed that I was going to hell at some point, even though I tried so hard to dive into the word and to literally research within an inch of my life to like see if I was predestined, if I really felt that I was saved. Like I would give myself panic attacks, like, you know, thinking that I was going to hell. I'd have nightmares about it. Like, yes, that was what I went through, you know? And it's so interesting because he's like, what the fuck? Like, girl, that's crazy. But it also feels really safe because I know that, like, he's never been through that. It's been nice having a boyfriend who's like, that's crazy. That's insane. I'm so sorry you went through that. Like, I don't even know what that would look like. And it's nice to know that, like, I'm not, you know, I don't know, like that, like that's not normal, basically. Like that type of upbringing is not okay. So it helps. I kind of brought this up because of Pride. I've been thinking a lot about Pride, and just the LGBTQ community in general, which I have been doing some like thinking about exploring my sexuality. I've thought about it and I was like, no, I'm definitely straight. I'm just the token straight among all of my gay friends. That's just, that's how I've always been. But I don't know. I would say bi-curious, probably. I know that, like, there's definitely a, like, the pressure to perform bisexuality correctly. Like, you have to have a perfect mixture of the two, like, men and women, the two groups, like, main binary groups of genders. Like, you have to have the perfect amount. You have to have dated both men and women equally, and you have to like them both equally. And it's like, that's not what bi means. Like, it means it's two. It doesn't mean half. Bi does not mean half, okay? It just means two. So yes, you like two different genders, yes, but that doesn't mean that you have to have them in the exact same quantity. So that has definitely helped me. I personally find women very beautiful. I don't know, it's because I think maybe I could be like bi-romantic. I think I'd have a really great romantic relationship with a woman if it ever came to that. I'm right now currently in a very happy relationship with a male. So I don't foresee that changing. But like, you know, if that were ever to happen, like if I were to ever to be available to date again, I guess, then, you know, I don't know. It would be something that I would definitely have to think about. And like, it's something that I'm thinking about now in terms of like just my identity. And I don't think that has to be something that like I have fully figured out, especially considering that I'm still like, I have to keep reminding myself I'm still young. I'm 23. Like I still have to settle into adulthood. I really don't feel like, I feel like I had to do a lot of adult things early, but I don't think I was like moving several times and like bills, and like I just got a bill. I just got $1,000 bill for an emergency room visit. We love the American healthcare system. I was literally going to get blood poisoning if I did not go to the ER because of my condition. So, whoa, we love being charged for being sick, which is not something that we can control unless we stay inside of our homes and never expose ourselves to anything else. But this wasn't even that. This wasn't even exposure. This was an autoinflammatory condition that I have. So this wasn't even what? Anyway, I just want to affirm that be who you are for your pride. And I support you and I love you, whatever your sexuality looks like, whatever your identity looks like within the realm of the LGBTQ community. I support you. I just felt like I should publicly say that because I definitely don't. I think people would definitely question if I did support it, looking at like my old videos, especially which I've privated a couple of those because I'm just like, they have people in them who are not in my life anymore. And I'm just like, I don't really, but yeah, like going to campus ministry, like I think I mentioned it a couple times. And that campus ministry has had sermons about gay people and about the LGBTQ plus community in a negative, way. So like I just want to set the record straight. All right, we are for all of the girls, the gays, and the theys, and everything in between. So yeah, and I know that this might be, I don't know if my family listens to this. I don't really care. Because it will not affect me, whatever they think. But I know the vast majority of my family members are still pretty homophobic. They wouldn't say that that's what they are. They would just say that they're being loving by telling gay people that they're going to hell and that they need to not be gay. But they are. I'm sorry, but that's homophobia. So yeah, I don't really know who needs to hear this or who needs to know, but like, yes, I do support you all, and I hope that this Pride Month you are able to feel comfortable in your own skin. Not just this Pride Month, but just in general. Because y'all, they trying to attack the hell out of us. Like, there's literally so many anti-LGBTQ plus laws like that have like not, or bills rather, that have not only been like signed into law, but are also like on the docket to be reviewed. And I hate to see it with the trajectory of how things are going. Like, I can understand why someone who's part of the LGBTQ plus community would be very like fearful or frightened, but I just want to say, like, you deserve to be celebrated and you deserve to feel comfortable in your own skin and be able to be who you are, literally. So yeah, anyway, there's that. I guess that's like a cute little wrap up, I will say. If you guys want to hear more about my deconstruction journey, you probably will regardless if you keep listening, because it's just a big part of my life. But I don't know, I would love to hear from others who are also going through deconstruction and like just what that looks like for you and like how you are dealing with it. If you also have been through estrangements, whether that's due to the religion or due to other things, like I'd love to hear that. I do think it's unfortunately not as common for people to talk about that, like not necessarily deconstruction, but because there's a lot of content online for that, which I love, but like being estranged, which could include religion or could not, but yeah, let me know, since there's no audience submissions, which is y'all's fault. All right, I've been asking since the beginning of the year. It's the beginning of this whole show. All right, this is season 2. All right, I should have at least had 2 or 3 submissions. So yeah, the audience submission box is available in the link in my Instagram, which is going to be located in the show notes or the show description wherever you are listening to this. So if you have a question, comment, or concern or criticism, please let it be kind. I am a sensitive ass girly. We've already discussed this. So yeah. But if you have any recommendations for how to, do better with the podcast, I haven't been doing this for like super long. I feel like it's been going pretty well in terms of like audio quality and like, I don't know, editing, I guess. But if you have any recommendations for that, or if you have you want some advice, I could at least try. I do have a college degree in sociology. So yeah, I'm just kidding. Take that with a grain of salt, because I also am trying to figure shit out too as a human. But yeah, if you have anything you would like to share with the podcast or be read, then let me know and you could hear it on the next episode. But in lieu of that, because we don't have any of them yet, y'all need to get on it. I do have an Am I the Asshole post that I think is kind of topical to this episode that I figured I would go ahead and read out. It's pretty short, and I already know my opinion on it, but figured I would go ahead and share it with you all. Am I the asshole for telling my parents I'm moving to another state only a week before I move? Pretty much what the title says. I am 26 female. I 26 female, moved out of my parents' home last year into my first apartment about 30 minutes away. I've always lived in my current state and want to try something new. So I decided to move to another state that's 1,000 miles away / 14 hours from my parents. I have a work from home job, so that's no problem. So when my lease was up, I found a new apartment there and prepared everything for my move. One night when talking to my parents on the phone, I told them I'm not renewing my lease and I'm moving. They said where, I said the state. They said when, I said next week. That's when they got quite offended and said it was like I was hiding it from them. And why didn't I tell them sooner? Am I the asshole? ETA. I don't know what this means in this context. I thought ETA was estimated time of arrival. I'm gonna look that up. But they said ETA at the bottom, so I'm assuming it's like a PS or something. They wouldn't have tried to stop or discourage me, but one reason I'm moving is because I do want more physical distance from them. And I've been lower contact lately. My parents raised me in a dysfunctional way. Girl, I know. And the older I get and the more I deconstruct my upbringing, the less I've respected or admired them. OP is definitely not the asshole. She is 26 years old. It is fully within her right to go wherever she wants. I applaud her as someone who also made a trip that was this length. It was actually a little bit longer, 16 and a half hours. I've done this twice. I did not consult really anybody except for my sister, but even then, and like she lived close to me where I was in Virginia. Like she lived in Maryland. So like we were relatively closer than Missouri and Maryland. But I still talked to her about it, and like, she was like, do what you need to do for you, girly. Like, do not have me be like a any sort of factor in you considering to move. Like, you need to do what you got to do. And I really respect that. And I really appreciate that she had that mindset. Like, obviously we were going to miss each other, and we do miss each other a lot now that we live, this far away again. But like, if your family really does care about you and care about, you finding yourself, and even this doesn't even seem like you're wanting to find yourself. It seems like you just want a change of pace, a change of scenery. And also it sounds like your parents may be a little overbearing, and that's not something that you want in your life at this current time in this season. And I definitely feel that, obviously. Like, I definitely feel like you are totally valid in your feelings, and of wanting to just go where, like, getting up and going wherever you want. Girl, that's amazing. Like, I would love to do that. Like, I mean, I personally, like, am enjoying some stability right now and staying in the same place for a little while. I just started a relationship. I, just started a new job. that I actually really love. So I will be here for a little while. Like I've been moving quite a bit. I'm a little nomad myself, but like I understand that if you have the ability to just up and move, girl, and there's nothing really keeping you from doing it, you don't have any to worry about any sort of job like prospect or needing to move because of that. I think that's an amazing decision. I think that, yeah, it would have been nice if you told your parents earlier, but also like you're 26 years old. Like you have all of the autonomy in the world as someone who wasn't even living with them. I could even maybe see if you were living with them, but even then it's like, you know, you don't have to consult them with everything. Even if they weren't going to try to convince you to stay, like, okay, then like what's the difference? If they weren't going to try to convince you to stay, you didn't really need to ask them anyway, then like what like what's the point? Like I don't really think that it's a big deal that you told them a week before. I think it definitely is going to be something that they're going to have to deal with, but that's not your fault. You already live 30 minutes away from them. So like it's not as if, and it doesn't seem like you were communicating with them very consistently in terms of like going over to them in person because you want to establish more of a distance from them. So like I don't know. I don't really think that it would be a huge adjustment per se. And it's not like you just left without telling them either, you know? So you're not the asshole in this situation. I don't think your parents are necessarily the assholes either, unless, I don't know, if you go into more detail about what they've been raising you on and how they've been dysfunctional. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll be considered that. But yeah, I don't know. I definitely think you're valid, and I hope that your move went well. This was posted a year ago. I usually try to do posts that have been posted up within like the past few months or even like a couple weeks. There's a couple that have been posted like a few hours ago, but I'm just like, I don't know, we'll let that breathe for a little bit. But yeah, hopefully your move went well, and you're thriving and your relationship with your parents feels safer, and it feels like something that you can actively participate in a way that, or not participate in a way that feels comfortable and safe. I'm going to go ahead and leave you all with that. This was a longer episode, but it also tackles something that I've been actively like thinking about, and something that's like super huge in my like current emotional and mental journey. So bear with me. All right. It also was like I don't script any of these episodes. I just like make a list of topics that I want to cover and then just start talking. Clearly, I don't know if you could tell. I'm long-winded as hell, but that's what you're here for. But anyway, I'm going to go and get ready for bed, and help little Benji get ready for bed too. I feel so bad. Like he's feeling a lot better, but little Benji, my little baby dog, was not feeling very well, and he still isn't completely back to himself. But I think medication is helping him. He's just having some bone pain. I'm like, you 4 years old. What are you doing? Bone pain, orthopedic pain. But that's what the vet said. So, and I trust them. So, but he seems to be getting a little bit better, but I'm still going to pick him up and stuff and put him in bed, tuck him in. He's laying in my arms right now. But anyway, I'm gonna go fangirl over my little baby dog and go to sleep. But I really hope that you all have an amazing week wherever you are. Have an amazing Pride. Let me know if there's any like Pride events that you are going to. Like, that would be super fun to hear about, as I don't have a car currently, so I will not be going to any unless somebody would be so nice as to offer to drive me. But yeah, so please let me live vicariously through you all. Thank you, darlings. See you all next week. Bye bye.